The topic is mammary gland. So in this we also discuss the pectorals major and minor muscles, and we will discuss breast, its location, extent, deep relations, blood supply, lymphatic drainage, and applied aspects of anatomy, breast anatomy, and also development of breast. So first we'll start with muscles, that is pectorals major and minor muscles. Coming to pectorals major muscle, its origin and insertion. The pectorals major muscle has got three parts of origin. So first is clavicular part. It arises from medial part of clavicle. The second one is sternocostal part, which arises from sternum and upper four ribs adjacent to sternum. Then abdominal part. So this part arises from aponeurosis of external oblique muscle, and the insertion of the pectorals major muscle is into lateral lip of intertuberculus sulcus. And coming to action and nerve supply, the action of clavicular part is flexion of the arm, and the action of sternocostal part is adduction and medial rotation of arm. The nerve supply of this muscle is medial and lateral pectoral nerves. And in the picture you can see the sternum and also clavicle. So it arises from medial part of clavicle, then it arises from the sternum, and also it arises from upper five ribs. So that is the origin of pectorals major muscle. Then we go to pectorals minor muscle, its origin and insertion. Its origin is from third to fifth ribs, and its insertion is into coracoid process of scapula. Its action is depression of scapula, and the nerve supply is medial and lateral pectoral nerves. In the picture you can see the origin, that is, it is taking origin from third, fourth and fifth ribs, and you can see in the picture above, that is, it is inserted into the coracoid process. So then we start with mammary gland. It is an accessory organ of female reproductive system, and its main function, that is, it secretes milk to feed the newborn baby. Location and extent. The breast is subcutaneous, and it is in the anterior wall of anterior thoracic wall, and it is mainly overlying the muscle just we discussed, that is pectorals major muscle. Extent. So it has got a vertical extent and horizontal extent. The vertical extent is from second to sixth ribs, and the horizontal extent is from sternum to axilla. Then we go to deep relations of the breast. So these are from superficial to deep. That is immediately deep to mammary gland. There is pectoral fascia, you can see in the picture. Then we have second layer that includes muscles just we discussed, that is pectorals major and minor muscles, and that is in the medial 2/3. And the serratus anterior is in the lateral 1/3. And also there is external oblique muscle in the lower medial quadrant. So all these muscles are deep to pectoral fascia. Then we have deep to these muscles, there is one more relation, that is called retromemory space, and that is present mainly in the base of the mammary gland. So deep relations, superficial deep, there are pectoral fascia, the pectoral major and other muscles, and retromemory space. Then we go to structure. Breast is conical in shape, and the nipple forms its tip. The nipple is surrounded by pigmented area known as areola, and it consists of 15 to 20 lobes. And these lobes are separated by fatty tissue and connective tissue. They also provide support. And the connective tissue that runs between they are called Cooper's ligaments. The connective tissue in between the lobes is somewhat dense and constitute ligaments of Cooper. And the ligaments of Cooper extend from skin to pectoral fascia. And you can see in this picture, so we have skin on the top, that is superficial most is skin, and deep you can see the pectoral fascia, and in between you can see the lobes, and lobes are separated by fatty and connective tissue, and you can see the Cooper's ligament, they are located between the lobes and they run from skin to pectoral fascia. Then coming to blood supply. The perforating arteries of internal thoracic artery supply the medial part of breast, and the perforating arteries of second to fourth intercostal arteries supply the lateral part of breast. Lymphatic drainage. The lymphatic drainage of breast can be divided into three parts. One is glandular part, and second is skin without nipple and areola, and third one is stroma of the gland. So thus there are three parts in lymphatic drainage. So first we'll start with glandular part. The lymphatics from the lactiferous ducts, that is glandular part, end in one plexus called as Sapes plexus. And this Sapes plexus is located deep to nipple and areola. The nipple and areola also drain into Sapes plexus. And the Sapes plexus in turn drains into pectoral group of lymph nodes. Then the lymph from the Cooper's ligament. The lymphatics which run along the Cooper's ligaments drain into one lake of Haller, and this lake of Haller is superficial to pectoral fascia. Then coming to drainage from lake of Haller, that is upper quadrants drain into apical lymph nodes. The lateral quadrants drain into pectoral lymph nodes. Medial quadrants drain into sternal lymph nodes. And lower quadrants drain into lymph nodes in the anterior abdominal wall and also into hepatic lymph nodes. And this is a dangerous route. You can see in the picture, that is, the upper quadrants are draining into apical lymph nodes. Then lateral quadrants are draining into pectoral lymph nodes. Medial quadrants are draining into sternal lymph nodes. And lower quadrants, they are draining into lymph nodes in the anterior abdominal wall and also hepatic lymph nodes. Then coming to lymphatic drainage of skin. The upper quadrants go to apical and infraclavicular lymph nodes. Lateral quadrants, including axillary tail, they go to pectoral lymph nodes. The medial quadrants to sternal lymph nodes. Lower quadrants go to sternal, pectoral, and also anterior abdominal wall lymph nodes. Then coming to stroma, that is connective tissue other than the glandular part. The superficial part joins skin drainage, and the deeper part joins the glandular part. Overall, the axillary lymph nodes drain 75% of the mammary gland. Then coming to applied anatomy, the cancer-affected lactiferous duct retract the nipple. Then there is one condition called as pseudo-orange, and the pseudo-orange appearance is due to block of the lymph inside the lymphatics. And the carcinoma is more common in the upper lateral quadrant. The prognosis is good in the upper lateral quadrant. Lower lateral quadrant is less favorable, whereas lower medial quadrant is dangerous. Then we go to development of breast. So there is appearance, that is, it is a modified sweat gland. So in the 7th week of intrauterine life, a mammary line or ridge appears, and this ridge extends from base of axilla to the groin. And the mammary ridge is persisting in the pectoral region, and the remaining ridge is usually obliterated. Coming to development, the ridge penetrates the underlying mesoderm and gives rise to 16 to 24 sprouts. These sprouts become buds, develop to form lobes, and each one again develops one lactiferous duct. And these ducts open on an epithelial pit. After birth, the epithelial pit transforms into nipple by the proliferation of the underlying mesenchyme. Then at the time of puberty, the ducts are formed under the influence of hormone estrogen, and the secretory cells are developed under the influence of progesterone. Then coming to anomalies, there is one condition called as polythelia, that is multiple nipples, and they are usually formed if there are any remnants of mammary ridge, and usually in the axillary region. Then we have another condition called polymastia, and it is development of full mammary gland if any remnant mammary ridge is present. And there is also one condition called as the inverted nipple, that is due to failure of the epithelial pit to evert. Thank you.